Doing my research, I know we haven't fully started yet, but doing my research, I realized you're also in Rest Easy, um,
Yeah.
which the last record was sick. I actually had
Thanks,
Kenny
dude.
on
Yeah, I know.
shortly after. Yeah.
I knew. I listened to that one. I listened to anything Kenny. That's I already knew about your. I like your show.
Oh hell
But
yeah.
thanks, Michael. That's rad. We put a shit ton of work into that album. Like I'm sure. I know Kenny talked about it a lot, like on the podcast. But yeah, like that was it was literally a labor of love. You know what I mean? There was no
Yeah.
if and buts about it. But I freaking love that band, dude. And we just did like a little run with Good Riddance recent, like last September or whatever. And it was just, I think it was like 3 or 4 shows with them, but like, fuck, that was the coolest shit ever, dude. And they were really cool and playing with them. I loved that band like growing up. So just that was like my first taste at it really ever doing it. I mean, we opened for No Effects once at a Punk and Drublic, and that was like insane. Like I still don't really believe that happened. But like just you being and hanging out with like the Good Riddance guys and like just playing with them every night and being side stage watching them was like it was really cool for me. Like I don't know, I like being in a band with guys from Dagenham. They've done like a ton, but I don't. I'm kind of just like the nobody in the band. So it's like anything is like super fun. I get like super jacked up for like all that stuff. But anyways, just playing with Good Riddance every day. They play every song. They're so fucking good. They're so good, and they're like, it's just I don't know. It was like super special and like that. If it all ended right there, I'd still be happy as far as I got. But not to say that that's happening, but you know what I
Right.
mean.
Yeah. No, that album was sick, but I think you're drinking coffee. I have my can that I'm gonna crack to
I
start this episode.
I prepared. I prepared. I prepared. I have a coffee, but I have something else in the wings if you want me to get it.
If you want to join in on the opening crack,
Is
feel
it an opening crack? Yeah, I definitely
yeah.
do. Okay, I'm gonna
All
go
right.
get it. One sec.
Okay.
I got the true shit right here. I got the real silver
Ooh,
bullet.
bars. Hell yeah, dude.
Should we start this bitch?
Yeah, let's do it. So I'll count us down. We'll crack these and then we'll see where this goes.
Hell yeah, I'll follow your lead, buddy.
All right. In three, two, one. Welcome to the Beers with Bands podcast with your host, Michael Torres. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Beers with Bands. This week, I was able to get back up to Vancouver in the Pacific Northwest and have another solid band on the podcast. Today, I'm sitting down with Dylan from Swear Jar. How are you doing,
I'm doing well, my friend. Thanks for having me on, Michael. It's a
dude?
pleasure.
Dude, thanks for being down. I know this is one that kind of long time in the making. I hit you up
That's
last
right.
year around the time that Swear Jar 2 was coming out, and we're finally doing it this year, the anniversary of Swear Jar 2. So it's full circle.
This is so sick. And like, it was so funny because I don't know what had happened over the last whatever year, but like I deleted our Facebook. We have our Instagram, we have email, we have all the stuff, but like I never check our email because no one ever emails us. So literally like when I like in for whatever time I'm like, oh, I should probably check the email. And I see an email from you from like a year ago. And I'm like, oh my God. Fucking asshole. So I literally like I think I messaged you on Instagram and emailed you at the same time, the same thing, just being like, hey dude, I am so sorry. You know what I mean? Wrote it all out because like literally I would have done it 100% the first time you asked me if I'd seen it, right? So, but I think that I'm happier we're doing it now just because like I think I said it to you when we talked, but like we didn't get to do much like presser stuff. Like there was a couple, we got some like reviews and stuff like that, but I didn't really get to. There was 2 podcasts I was supposed to do, and they both bailed like the day of, and I was like,
Oh
oh
damn.
okay, yeah, dude. You know how it goes though. You like running a podcast for like I'm sure people bailed on you day of all the time. I used to do a podcast forever ago, and it was like, oh my god, such a pain in the ass. So like, dude, mad respect. It's not easy.
Yeah, thank you. But thankfully, I don't bail on people. I'm always here. Actually,
You are, man.
yeah. This is like episode I think 176 seven. I don't have it.
Oh,
I don't have
fuck.
the numbers in front of me, so
$177. Whatever it is.
fucking
176, 178.
yeah.
Let's go.
It's in there. We're going
Dude.
strong still. So I
Dude,
appreciate
you're
you.
killing it, man. Well,
Oh, thank you.
I follow on Instagram, so I see like you're posting weekly, if not more, right?
Yeah, new episodes every week.
Fuck, dude, that's dude, it's so hard. It's so hard. Anyways, I'm impressed, man. Good job. It's like
Thank you.
it's
Thank
not
you.
it's a lot of work and like people don't really they don't really get it. It's like, oh, you just like put down like in front of a mic. It's like, no, like you have to like make the time to get the interview. You got to do the interview, then you got to edit it afterwards, and the editing is the longest and hardest part. I don't know about on your end, but when I was doing it, that was the part that drove me crazy was the editing.
Yeah, especially in the beginning, my editing used to be pretty like shitty or like just felt like it took forever just because those first 75 episodes, let's say, like I wasn't in the like interviewer position like I am now, so like there was a lot more like lulls and stuff, so trying to find all those to come out. But nowadays I make it pretty easy where we'll probably have like very little to no lulls this entire time, and it'll be a nice quick thing for me to take care of, which makes it a lot easier. But we're not here to talk about my podcast. We're here to talk about your band, Swear Jar. For people that might not be aware, Swear Jar is like a melodic punk band, like I said, from Vancouver, British Columbia. You have there's been some things that have happened over since the beginning. But before I get to that, obviously, like I said, your name is Dylan. But what do you do in Swear Jar?
So my name's Dylan, and I am I guess you could say I'm the creator or like what's the term for like when someone starts a project that gets behind me, but like, yeah, I'm like, the creator with of Swear Jar with my idea. I actually, I've been playing in bands like my whole life, basically like in and out of, this area. And, Swear Jar came along in 2018. I was kind of doing a little band hiatus before that, just because, you have to take like a year off and stuff and really see like what you want to do and like where music is taking you. And like I've kind of always had like a push and pull relationship with music because I love it. I love writing and making it so much. But it's like like to anyone that's a musician out there, like you really have to love everything you make. Like you can't be in this to be like, oh, I'm gonna be making money because you're not making shit. You got to be like in this for like just the love of making like your art or like the feeling you get from like a line that you wrote that just like hits you in the chest. You know what I mean? Like that stuff. That's what music should be about. So, anyways, that I originally with Swear Jar. It was actually going to be a three-piece, myself, Andrew, our drummer now, and Richard Lowe, our bass player now. That was the core, and these are two other guys I've known for a long time. Andrew is an amazing drummer. He plays in a band called Parting Ways that a lot of people know of. And he's just an incredible drummer. It's so fucking awesome to work with. But anyways, we had this like core. It was the three of us, and I've been singing for a long time, but singing's hard. You know what I mean? It's really tough. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and it's stressful. So like honestly, we had our friend Curtis, who's like a longtime friend of ours as well. He recorded some of my old bands in the past. He just was like, oh, like you guys are starting a band. Like, can I have a shot at singing? And we were just like, yeah, of course. For me, I was just like, dude, please, because I know Curtis can sing, and me and him were kind of in the same pillbox of like we definitely don't have the same voice, but like you know what I mean. Our voices work well together, and
Yeah.
I was just like, dude, like yeah, absolutely, come on down. And 2018, we kind of like recorded the first EP, the 7 songs, and we were playing shows all over Vancouver, and it was just like it felt good. Playing live, like I love just playing guitar live and just being able to rock out and not have focus too much on singing. And honestly, I like it both. Obviously we've had to pivot since Curtis had leave in basically 2020. But the thing is like there's no this band is we were talking earlier about my other project, but this band is like for sure like my love project. And with all of our like thing is about Curtis is that Curtis, our original singer, he's down living like he got this job opportunity of a lifetime to move down to California, and it was like we knew what was going on. It wasn't like fuck you guys, I'm done. Like see you later. Like we're all tight homies like
Yeah.
forever. And like I can't wait for the time that Curtis comes up and we can play all the first 7 songs with him again. You know what I mean? Because it's going to happen one day. We just don't know when it's going to happen. But like as of right now, Curtis had to leave in 2020 for his career, and for me, it was just kind of like, oh well, let's take this opportunity and let's try it the way that we were going to do originally. And you know what? Like we've been having as much fun, if not more fun. Not nothing against Curtis, but like we've just been this 2023 and like bringing out the new album. And I'll tell you, I could go on more, but I'll bring it up more. Like we actually had Sword Art 2 like basically done, recorded like early. It was like done in 2020, and we finished it off in 2022 to have it out for 2023. But like it was basically sitting because we didn't know what was happening. Also, my other project, Rest Easy, was doing a lot in that period of time, so it was like kind of a good break. But like right now, I really love where this band is. And also, another side note, the name Swear Jar, I didn't come up with the name. A friend of mine, Matt Earl, he's in a band called Dead End Drive-In from here, Vancouver as well. But we were looking, when I first had the idea to start this band name or to start this band, I just like, I think I still had Facebook and I was just like, I need like anyone got names? And it was literally the first one. Matt was like, oh, Swear Jar. I thought of this in high school and none of my bands ever wanted it. And I was like, dude, like how has no one ever used this? And I was like, yes, this name. And I love that name. And that was the easiest part of the whole band was just that we already had like a cool name off the bat, which was get like the hardest part. I thought of one the other day that no one uses, and Crying Wolf or something like that. I don't think there's a band called Cry Wolf or Crying Wolf. There you go. Use it if there's a band out there looking for a name. Crying
Yeah.
Wolf. I've never
I
heard
feel
of the
like
band.
I feel like for that name though, you have to be like a metalcore band. For some reason, just off
100%,
top.
100%, 100%. And like you're like, I can see the artwork already, like this shirt design.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
that's
like
crazy that you just made a post about like, hey, does anyone have like any ideas for band names? Because I have a friend here in the Twin Cities that they have it's a continuous like Facebook post that is from like I think 5 or 10 years ago that people will still comment on every so often, and it's got like 12,000 comments on it maybe. But it was basically one of those things of like, hey, what's a good band name that I should do? And then
yes,
people just
yes.
like and even
I
he'll
remember
go and like
that.
re comment on it and just like keep building it. It's insane.
I think I remember that, like I remember looking at that and people just like putting band names up, and then it was just like a giant thread of band names, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, my friend Matt Early, he's a pretty integral like friend, and especially for this band, he's helped us a lot too in many ways. We're on this nonprofit record label, Early Onset Records, and he's a big part of that as well. But even just on Swear Jar too, like when I was writing, I had to like get back into the mindset of like singing and playing guitar and everything. So like it was like I actually had a lot of help from friends. I call them my ghostwriter friends, to get me, you know what I mean? Sometimes when you're writing a song, you just need that little hook that will push you to like finish it. You know what I mean? But like your brain just won't get there. It's like, oh, like this part's awesome, but like I have no idea what to sing over it. And then I literally just reached out to like some of my friends that I like musically respect a lot. And, they gave me that little like spark that I needed to get going. And, but now where I'm at now, like, a year after it's come out, I'm fully like writing like crazy. Like I can't remember like this new Square Jar full length that we're kind of like writing right now is going to be fucking nuts because like I've never been able like to write like all pistons. Like it's wild. I don't know if I've like just like figured out the way that I like to write now more than before, but it could, what honestly could have been is just that being in Rest Easy and doing like the process with Rest Easy really taught me a lot about the more professional side of like, professional side. But
Mm.
the thing I say that professionally just because Kenny is very professional, and I tried to like learn as much as I could from him and those guys. And I think that I learned a lot more than I think I did in that process. And even just like when it comes down to like forming songs and melodies and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm just really excited because I've got 3 songs down, and we're shooting to write like 12 to 15, and we're just gonna like pick the best ones, and then we're actually gonna record like a full album, a full studio album. I don't know. I'm super pumped, and yeah, I'm kind of just going on a tangent, Mike.
I know. I was waiting for a break in there, but you were just telling. You kept spilling some good tea that I just needed. I was like, okay, we're just gonna go with it.
As long as the tea is good, we'll keep it
Yeah,
flowing.
yeah, exactly. Um, but like you mentioned, the first EP, which was a self-titled Swear Jar, just Swear Jar, did come out in 2018. For people that haven't checked that out, or they're just now finding Swear Jar from this episode, and we're mainly going to be talking about Swear Jar 2, please go listen to that. It's still super solid. I had a pleasure of like listening to that, getting ready for this. One thing
Thanks,
that
Michael.
yeah, dude, of course. One thing that caught me off guard with because since I didn't know about the member changes was going from Swear Jar 1 to Swear Jar 2.
It is
It
different. Like there's
yeah,
the vocal. Yes. Sorry, I
it's
didn't mean to cut you
different.
off.
No, no, you're fine. It's different, but it's not like a bad different. Obviously, like you said, you and Curtis have similar but different vocal styles. Where yours is like a little bit more gritty, and then I kind of feel like it works really well with like especially the song choices on Swear Jar 2, just because it's like especially in that melodic punk style, like your voice works really well. Nothing against Curtis. That first EP was sick, and I loved him on that. Um, but just you get through that change, and then it just really gets you more in that mood. And obviously, it was a big, somewhat of a hurdle to kind of get back in the mindset to do that. But I give you props for doing
Oh,
that, and not just like, oh, we need to find someone else to sing this. I don't feel comfortable singing this. Like they came out so fucking well.
oh, fuck. Thanks, Michael. I really appreciate that. Like you know what? Like when I went in and I was like, okay, well, we have to move on. We're gonna just keep recording, and we'll all just have to go in and finish the vocals. It was kind of just like, let's just go get it done and see what happens. But as soon as we were like recording it, like our friend Tim, who's like, the recording master, we're in there. I just love doing vocals with him. We bounce ideas off each other, and he's always got like a cool way to like spin it. But anyways, when it was all said and done, we were just like, this sounds so sick. You know what I mean? Like this sounds like, for me, honestly, like this is what the band in my head was always supposed to sound
Mm-hmm.
like. You know what I mean? Like when I originally thought about Swear Jar and what it was going to be before Curtis even was like an idea that he was going to be singing for us, it was like, this is exactly where I wanted it to be. And I got to, there's a couple songs like Unfinished Business. It's a very simple song, but it was, I don't know, something about it was just like very getting it done was like such a thing for me. You know what I mean? Like finishing it because I had the idea for so long, and it's literally 4 chords. Like you would never know, but the whole song is 4 chords. I've got this a trick that I can do where I can apparently write songs that are only 4 chords, and no one realizes it because I've done it a few times now, and that's one of them. And but like that the process of writing it, and then like the disappointment of like not knowing if like Curtis was going to be like doing stuff, and it was just like being in a band is kind of like a roller coaster ride. You know what I mean? There's like the highs and the lows, and but you kind of just got to ride the peaks and valleys, because it's just sometimes that's how the best shit comes from. And a lot of the lyrics that I wrote for Swear to You were inspired by the situations that were happening because of that. And you know what I mean? I wouldn't even like a song like Vessel, that song's really special too, because that one, Curtis actually had the melody done. We had been jamming it. He had the melody done. So I had a voice recording of him, but I didn't know what the fuck he was saying. I just had like a voice recording of the melody he had written for it, and I loved it. It's great. It's the exact same melody that I used. I just rewrote the lyrics, and I wrote it about our relationship. You know what I mean? Like I just thought it was the perfect thing. It's like, I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to write what I'm feeling about this exact situation. And I feel like that song maybe came out one of the most strong out of the whole EP. But it's just Curtis is still like there. You know what I mean? He was a
Yeah.
part of, he was in the studio when we did drum tracks. He was a part of the making of that whole thing. You know what I mean? So it's just, yeah, I just thinking back on it now, because it was such a long process to make it. It's just it really felt good to have it done. And then the I feel like the reception of people was like really surprising. I was surprised at how many people really, and I mean, it could have been that, maybe like, oh, singer of Rest Easy is another band, like maybe a bit of that like bleeding over, but it was yeah, it was like really cool. And I'm just like, we're just really pumped for like this year, writing some songs, playing some more shows, and to see what happened. Like we opened for Lagwagon in December, and like that was fucking wild. You know what I mean? So anytime you get to play a sold out show, it's just like, it's really special. So you gotta just not take anything for granted. You never
Yeah.
know when you're gonna be doing that again.
Right. Now then,
So
kind of bouncing back, you said, I know you kind of mentioned that most of this was you kind of sat on Swear Jar 2 for quite a while, being kind of done in 2020 with the original. Like, I know you just said Curtis was in the studio when you did a bunch of it. Did you guys have to? Did he already start singing on some stuff and then have to like dip out so you guys had to redo stuff, or was it just like what besides like his situation being up in the air, what caused that whole holding it for 3 years before it released?
So no, Curtis never recorded anything in the studio. I think what happened was is that Curtis was juggling multiple things at the same time, and he even like what came to me later and was just saying that like I should have just been more honest with you from the get go, and we wouldn't have had there would have been it wouldn't have been like any issue. You know what I mean? It
Mm-hmm.
was just like he was really going to school and working really hard to get his degree to do what he's doing, and I think the opportunity came along right while this was all happening, and I'm a very like, okay, like the next thing is this, we have to like blah blah blah, like we finished and I was like, okay, on to the next one, we're going to record these, and like he just had a lot going on, and not to say that I was like, I'm very lax. Like you could ask any of my bandmates that like it's like if they miss a jam, I never give anyone a hard time. Life is life, you know what I mean? Like I'm
Right.
never going to give anyone a hard time about anything. You know what I mean? It's like you've got to move on. It's you got to move on. But I'm losing my train of thought. But no, sorry. Can you bring me back to where I was? I
Uh,
was
yeah, no, you're good. So basically, it was just, uh, I mean, you answered part of the question. So Curtis hadn't like started on the album,
yes,
but like, was it just more waiting just because you were trying to figure out like his situation, and then it kind of
yes.
led into just being a longer wait to release until it was fully ready?
Yeah, so like I said, Curtis was like in between, like it wasn't for sure that he was going to be moving or not, and he was just waiting until he knew for sure. And I totally respect that. Like, why would
Yeah,
you break big news until you know what's happening? So once he finally knew what was happening, he let us know what's going on. And you know what I mean? It was like, everyone's going to have like feelings, it's just like we're all humans and stuff, but time does heal everything. I'm a big advocate for that because it's just there's no little dumb like drama crap, not to say that this was like a dramatic thing, but just in life there's nothing that big and dramatic that can't be forgotten or forgiven. I mean, there's obviously things that can definitely not be forgiven, don't get me wrong, but I mean when it comes to like friendships and petty shit, you know but yeah, no, we so Curtis moved on, and then I think right at that exact time is right when I got asked to sing for Rest Easy, so it was kind of like, okay, like fuck it, and I was just kind of like, whatever, I'm just going to do this for a bit, and we'll just sit on this for a bit. And honestly, our friend Tim, who was recording us, he recorded Rest Easy as well. He was a huge reason why I even he got me motivated to finish it finish Swear Jar too, because I was kind of
mm,
like down in the dumps for a bit on it, just because it was, it just being human, and how like life goes. And obviously Rest Easy was like super exciting, and like we made like the first EP with like Bad Idea, which is like probably one of like my favorite songs I'll ever be a part of. And but like so there was like lots of stuff happening, but I never I never said that I was not going to finish this. It was just more a matter of like when I get a chance and get time, we're going to do that. And that's exactly what we did. Once we had time in 2022 to like sit down and give it the time that it deserved. That was another thing.
Yeah,
I didn't want to fuck around and, just like rush a bunch of lyrics for no reason and just kind of go. I wanted to like spend time. That's the one thing about this band is that it's definitely not, this is the love project, and this is like if it takes time, it's going to take like we're not going to be recording until 2025. We're going to spend this whole year to write and get ready to record this full length. We're not. It's not like, oh, we just need to rush and get this shit done. Like we're here for longevity. We're not here to just pump out as much stuff as we can and then disappear. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that's just like kind of unfortunately for bands. I'm sure you've noticed it. Like it happens all too often. You love this band, they're around for like 2, 3 years, and they put out an album every single year, and then they break up because they're just like they hate each other, and like
yeah. They
that's
get so
not.
burnt out from it, and
Yeah,
like some bands, like yeah, they can do their thing and pump out whatever, but it's also nice to see the labor of loves that they actually put out, because those ones are it to me like some of their best albums, rather than ones where they're like, oh, we just put out this EP, we head to the studio in a couple weeks to start recording on the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing. Like I was talking to someone recently, and they were like, oh yeah, we kind of did a whole member change just because life happens, but with it, so and so came in and they also kind of like self record, so now when we go to do the next thing, we're really going to record all of our demos ourselves and just kind of build it and make sure we're fine tuned until we're ready to go to the full studio or send it off to get mixed and mastered, and then you know want it to be fully there before we're just like, we need to do this.
yeah. And like there's like just being on that side of things, having things prepared like ahead of time. Oh my God, it's you had just have your songs with lyrics and stuff, not just like the music done. It's just like you're off to such a head start. It's insane, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, you said something and it had me. I was gonna say something to that, but I lost it. Yeah, no, I just think that with recording, it's so expensive, and you can't just like go in there willy nilly. And oh, I remember what I was gonna say with bands. You know, I don't know how you feel about this, but when it comes to music and punk bands and stuff, like I want to hear the struggle in the music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if the band is like crowdfunding for their fucking album, like off GoFundMe and shit, and they didn't pay for shit, like that's not the one for me. You know what I mean? I want to, and like I know I just said the opposite of that, but like it's like those are the best bands, the ones that really push it and are like fuck it and just like throw like it's true though. I hate to say it, but it is the best because they're like especially hardcore bands and punk bands. Like they don't have a choice. They're just like yeah, we're going for this thing, and it's like I'm sure some of them are in good positions, but I mean they're really throwing like their life. You know what I mean? You could be throwing your life away. Like depending on how deep you want to go. Like I don't
Yeah.
remember if you remember that band Set Your Goals, but
Mhm.
I don't know if they're financially well still good after all that. You know what I mean? They put a lot of money into their band, and like people don't realize that like behind the scenes, like when you get to a
Whoa.
certain level, like it's gazoon tight,
Mhm.
you have to you're paying like promotion companies to get on tours. Like it's not
Yeah.
free. Like you know what I
Right.
mean? Unless you're like the sickest band and you're friends with Terror, and Terror's like, yeah, dude, like come on down, we'll just take you on tour, which I'm sure happens, you know. It's not like that when it's like, especially with these like this new era of like pop punk or it's like it's
Yeah.
definitely different because like just looking at bands like my friend's band, Real Friends, like they're so professional. They're so insanely professional. Well, Cody is my friend. I don't know the rest of the guys to be honest, but they it's just like it's a totally different vibe. And I'm not to
Yeah.
say that like we didn't grow up with like very like you know clean like pop punk like Blink is like the self-titled album is that in a nutshell, but you know what I mean. It's like it just feels different than like the early 2000s.
Yeah, and I mean, kind of to bounce off that other point that we were talking about too, where these bands that are just having to constantly put stuff out. Real Friends, I feel like, is a very good example. They came onto the scene in like what 2013, 2014 with those early EPs. amassed a crazy amount of fans. They got signed. They put out
Hmm.
a full length, I think another EP, and then a full length, and then they were just touring constantly just to. I mean, yeah, I mean that's low key the goal is to kind of get out there and tour, but it's also they were signed to
Yeah.
a label where they are kind of keep getting put on stuff, keep putting on stuff, and I know that that's one of the reasons I'm pretty sure that like Dan left is just because he needed that reset time, and
Yeah.
totally understand that. I think he's doing another band and he's really like
Is he new in another band now? See, I don't know. I don't know the history with Real Friends at all. I
yeah.
literally I grew up with Cody and like I just know that trajectory of it. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, no, yeah, you're fine. I can't remember what other band Dan is in. I think they're still somewhat active, but I mean, and then obviously they kind of took their little break and did what they wanted to, and then they brought Cody in, which I've loved the EPs and everything that he's been on since. But yeah, and now they're doing it. I believe without a label, they're just doing it all. They might have like a booking agent, but they're just doing it all like themselves
See,
now.
that's what I mean. Like, it's just like it's so like just I went and saw them for the first time. Like Cody put me on the guest list, and I like went and saw them. But I was just like, I just couldn't believe how professional they were. You know what I mean? Like with everything, even with just with like what they used on stage and all that stuff. It was like, and Cody's just like a showman, and he like was just like basically showing off his like vocal chops the whole night, which was like really fun to watch. But like at one point, like just I've known him since we were like kids. We played like the same like little small ass venues growing up, and just seeing him like in the middle of a pit, like with a mic and like people like all like flashing phones in his face. It's just like it's totally wild, and I love it for him because it makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's cool to see a friend that really worked their whole life to get into music and get somewhere to like I would say that he's made it in my opinion, you know what I mean,
Right.
because it's not like he's in a band the size of Blink-182, but I mean for this guy he goes on tour and then he goes and he spends like a month in South Africa or like wherever he goes because he's kind of a transient. Cody is a very cool guy. I don't want to talk too much about Cody. You should try to get him on your podcast. You know what, I'll help you with that honestly.
Okay. Hell
But
yeah.
he's just a fucking one more thing that I will tell about Cody since we're talking about him. He is such a fucking gem. He's the luckiest fucking person I've ever met in my life. Literally has a horseshoe up his ass. When me and my wife got our fucking wedding rings, I'm not wearing it just because of this exact story. Um, we were at the beach. We just got our wedding rings. We weren't married yet, but we were like excited to have our wedding rings, and we were wearing them at the beach, and we were gonna leave and I went to put my shoe on and the ring fell off my finger into the sand. And I just stood there for a bit and didn't like tell anyone and tried to like find the ring. Anyways, like an hour later, like all the sand is pushed everywhere. Everyone's helping and you know what I mean? The ring is gone. And it's just like, I'm just like so upset because like it was like not even a day of having it. You know what I mean? And I was like, great. Like all my friends who have lost their rings, I don't even want to say it, but they got divorced. Like, and I was just like,
Oof.
fuck, like, I don't like, you know what I mean? Bad sign. And I already lost my fucking ring. Anyways, all of a sudden Cody comes up and he's just like, man, I can't believe we can't find a gold ring anywhere. And I'm like, Cody, it's not fucking gold. It's platinum. God damn it. And he literally, not even 2 seconds later, he says, oh, there it is, picks it up off the ground. And I like, not even like seconds. It was just right fucking there. And he like, it was like, it's fucking platinum. Oh, there it is. Dink. Here you go. I just fucking hugged him and fucking kissed him. And it was just like, I love that dude so much. He's such a gem. But like I try to tell that story as much as possible. I'm glad I got to. Um,
No,
anyways, Cody, Real
that's
Friends.
amazing.
Go check out Real Friends, everybody.
Uh, no, yeah, that's amazing. That's very lucky. I still
Very
have yet to see
lucky.
them with Cody. I've seen Real Friends probably at least 5 times in my life, but I have not seen them with Cody yet. Yet.
Are they from that part? They're from Chicago,
Yeah,
like the
they're from
band,
Chicago.
or
Yeah,
okay, so they're from so they're near you. They were
yeah.
near because
So
of Chicago.
yeah, Chicago from Minneapolis is about 7 hours, but I grew up in like southern Iowa, which from there to Chicago is only like 4. So usually on a lot of their tours, they would stop through like either day 2 or 3, and then just kind of go wherever.
Hell
But
yeah.
yeah, so like they've always been one of those bands that also, since we're just on the topic of Real Friends, always like super nice and like professional. Like the amount of times that I've seen just a horde of people just have Kyle from Real Friends cornered after a show, and he talks to literally
He
everyone that
seems
all
really
see what plays.
nice.
Like they're all
Yeah.
just amazing people.
Like I said, I didn't get to meet any of them, unfortunately, but he seems like, and I saw him just kind of around the show. And like you said, he's just like chatting with everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I hate it when band guys are like, one thing I'll say about like band guys like and like schmoozing with like the crowd and stuff. I love it. I think that all band members should do it all the time. The one thing that I will say is that for the singer, if it's like a person that's doing like gruff vocals every night, I give them a pass if they want to just
yeah,
like hide because they have to sing and like they have to sing every single night and just talking to people, people don't realize how hard it is on your vocal cords just talking, especially in a loud environment, because you have to project your speaking voice, which is pushing on all of your. As someone who loses their voice a lot, I have respect for it. So I totally get that's my one thing. I'll say singers get a pass. So don't be mad if you don't see the singer at the show sometimes. He's probably just wanting to make sure that his vocals are extra good for you, like straight
yep,
up. That's what they're worried about. Like being a singer, like every day before a show, it's like, the only thing you're thinking about is got to make sure my voice is proper. I don't want to suck. You know what I mean? People are paying money. You got to, you know what I mean? You don't want to suck.
yeah.
Well,
You
and
know what, you know what doesn't suck?
what?
Swear jar 2.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. No, like I said, this is for people that are just now checking out Swear Jar 2. It's technically a 6-song EP. The first song is like 30 seconds, so
Yeah.
nice little intro into the next one. But it's
What do you
such.
what do you what do you what do you think about that song? Because there's been like we were talking to some labels before and they were like, "Oh, yeah, we want them, but we have to drop this song because it's an album killer. Like if you put this at the beginning, it's an album killer and it sucked." And I was just like, "Dude, it's like 30 seconds just to like I don't care if no one listens to it. It's just like 30 seconds and then it goes into the next song, but they were written together. You know what I mean?
Mm,
They were written to go into each other. So it's kind of just like that. But like when I look at the Spotify plays, no one listens to that song. So it's like
yeah.
they weren't wrong. They weren't wrong. You know what I mean? Like they knew what they were talking about. But it's just like it's just funny because it's like he's like they just I don't know, they must have like algorithmic like, info on that or something.
No, like I'm one of those guys that I kind of like intros on EPs. A lot of my friends do like little intros, and then they'll whether it's 30 to 40 seconds, and then it goes into like the next song, or see where it goes. But they're kind of nice, especially when the transition between that song and the next song, where you don't even realize that there's an intro and it just
Right?
goes, and then
Yes.
it doesn't really matter anyways.
See that I'm a big fan of that too, but I think that what happened for us and like it's not that we're like, oh, we're not going to listen to some fucking label. They don't know what they're talking about. It was nothing to do with that. It's just that we had everything done and we were just kind of shopping it around for shits and giggles because we didn't really have any, we don't I had no intention of signing my song rights over to some stranger, you know what I mean,
Right.
from far away. It's like I mean, when it comes to one thing I'll say about record labels. Oh my God, Mutant League Records and Nate, the guy that runs Mutant League Records, incredible. The relationship that Rest Easy has with them is like insane. And like my only experience with, actually being on a label. And but I have nothing but good things to say about them. But like all I've ever heard is horror stories about, record labels and stuff like that. So to work with Nate at Mutant League was like fantastic. So I just want to make that clear while I'm talking crap about other labels. But no, like yeah, it's just like, they were like, well, we want these songs, but we don't want they just really wanted to switch it up completely. They had a totally different plan than
Mm.
what we wanted to do. We thought they needed to all be together. You know what I mean? On the same release. I think they have an amazing flow, like,
Oh yeah.
one song to, oh, thank you. Well, like song to song to song. And it was just like to have, them split up just seemed like sacrilegious. And we were just like, no, we're just gonna do our own thing. And luckily, like our friends at Early Onset Records helped us out. But it's like with this label, it's kind of like a mutual, I scratch your back, you scratch mine situation because they're a nonprofit, right? So it's just
Hmm.
really like they're friends and they're great, but this is a totally it's really cool what they're doing because I don't think I think more record labels are doing stuff like this now, but it's not an easy thing to do because it's like
Yeah.
you're a nonprofit and you're not making money and they've got a pretty full roster of bands now, so it's not like they're not having a bunch of fucking band guys calling them all the time, bugging them. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Um,
yeah.
yeah, no, I love the CP. The intro is great. Like you kind of mentioned, all the songs flow really well together. Um, you know, there's obviously, I mean, there's interviews that you've done out there where we could break down every song and go that route. But if it's already been done, I try not to make you go through it
Totally.
again.
No,
Um,
no, I honestly, I don't mind at all. I kind of gave like even more info on Vessel I never gave because like even just telling you earlier that Curtis, the melody was from Curtis originally. That's something I don't even think that I've said in the past. And then, but if you go through all the songs, like that one's the first, Vessel's the first one, then Unfinished Business, I think's after that. And that one was another song that I had, I was kind of talking about earlier. It was really a tough one to complete. And I actually had an old friend help me with I must have fucked this up, I don't want to lie. That line was like all I needed to like, I didn't come up with that. He came up with that, and that was all I needed. And after that, I was like, whoa, it was like the spark went, and I was like, oh, that's how the song has to be. And then I was able to like finish it. And another thing
well,
that,
since we're on the topic of unfinished
yeah,
business, with unfinished business, there is a music video out for it, and it
yes,
is amazing.
thank
Like,
you.
I also hype up every band that comes on, but it is truly a sick music video. Because it's basically, if anyone's listened to the song, you're talking about like your final days or like if you were to pass and like how it would be, but you're in the music video, you're actually at your own funeral for this. And obviously no one sees you except a baby, which I'll get to in just a second. But the whole premise of the video is laid out super well. You come up and you play towards the end, since your band is technically like playing in the beginning, for the
Yeah,
eulogy. Um,
yes.
but some of my favorite moments in that music video were one when you go to the food spread, and then you just shove a whole muffin in your mouth, and it just the way it like crumbles and just goes was, to me, it brought me back to like like Ghostbusters and like Casper, where it's like the aliens, well, not the aliens, where the ghosts are like just chowing down food for no
Mowen,
reason.
yeah, yes.
It brought me back to that moment in my life.
That's awesome,
And
dude.
then there's like the next scene where you're sitting down like listening to everything, and then you turn and look at this baby and just kind of do like a weird face to it, and then you act like you're hanging yourself to the baby, and then the baby, the music cuts out just enough where you also bring in the vocals of the baby crying, which was great because you don't hear anyone else this entire time. But just to add that in, I was like, that's fucking great. um but I, like, seriously, 10 out of 10, well done. Was that always
Oh,
the
dude.
idea to do the music video that style, or was it someone else's idea that came to the table?
Thanks, Michael. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoy it because there's always this like love and like I love music videos so much. They're so important and no one watches them anymore, but they're the best thing ever. And people need to watch them more because music videos I could spend a whole day just going on YouTube and watching music videos and I have the best day ever. I wish
Right.
people need to watch music videos. They're the best. Thank you, because this video, I guess technically I produced this video, if you want to like get to like technical terms, because yes, we had me and the director, Kyle Pigot, great friend, another great help for this band. So muffin idea was his. He wanted me to shove the muffin in my mouth. And I'm actually surprised how much of that muffin I got in my mouth and as fast as I did. I got a big ass mouth if I didn't
The best
realize.
part, yeah, the best part about that was just like you picked it up, you looked at it, and then you did it so fast is what made it even funnier to me.
I love
Uh,
that. I'm glad you thought it was because I was like, we were like debating. It's like, should I just be like grabbing stuff and throwing in is one muffin enough? Like we didn't know. And then we like the idea originally was I was gonna shove the muffin and then we were gonna try to get a shot of like no feet and then crumbs just like falling like through, but we couldn't get it. Like we weren't able to get it. So how good would that have been if it was just like, me eating it and then like the blob of like muffin just like on the ground? You know what
oh
I mean?
god, that
Like
that would have been classic.
I know, but we weren't able to get like it to work. It just didn't look right.
Yeah.
So, but no, like, yeah. So obviously the song is about, it's actually about sitting in traffic and wanting to fucking, end it all, you know what I mean? Essentially, yeah, but like, not obviously. And but basically that's where like the idea of the song kind of came from. And it's like, the push and pull of like, worrying about death and not worrying about death. But we obviously had to make a video that, had something to do with, death. And that's actually the clubhouse of my building, and it looks like an old folks home. So it's too perfect. Like it's just like this shitty room that like we have at my building, and we rented it for like $100, and like Kyle brought his whole crew, and like it was that video shoot. I work in film, and that video shoot actually felt like a professional video shoot. Like even there's a part in the video where like the guitar is like floating. Like we
Yeah.
actually had a green screen and shit for that. Like we did like the full like that video was the full 9 yards for, obviously Kyle gave us, an insane deal because he's like a buddy, but like, yeah, I'm super proud of that video, and I didn't even realize that I'm wearing the shirt from the video and everything today, but yeah, we had a lot. We did that in a day, so it was a full day. I think we did like 10 to 10, so it was like full 12 hours,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, it was a long day, and then or maybe not 10 to 10, sorry, full. I got 8 hours, nine to 10 hours ish. So it was like, a typical like film shoot day. But thing was so cool is that like everyone was there, like was so excited to like be a part of it. Everyone had like ideas for like, different shots. And I just think that like aesthetically, it looks exactly how I wanted it to look. Like you literally like it doesn't look like a funeral because we originally tried to find like like a place to actually have like a casket and stuff like that, and because Kyle
Hmm.
had all these like grandiose ideas, and I was like Kyle, we don't have money to rent out a actual like church and then have like do you know how expensive coffins are, man? Like you know what I mean? Like I love the idea of me sitting in a coffin, that's great, but we're not My Chemical Romance, you know what I mean? We don't have that kind of cash. So like, what I mean? For like the budget that we were on, I feel like we really got like a pretty authentic, we're pretty close to like what we were looking to do,
Oh yeah.
and it was super fun to make. And like I said, all the crew that was helping like do the lights and everything, they were also in the video as like like the audience.
Yeah.
Also the big tall guy with the long hair with the in the video, he's the owner of Early Onset Records. So like everyone that's like with everyone that's a part of the band is involved. Also, I got to have fucking like makeup on my face like I was dead. Like you don't even know. Like that was like such a dream for me to like be dead on camera was like really exciting. And yeah, and we actually had like a real like VFX like artist do all that. And can you believe that I got this shirt perfectly white again? Like this thing was covered in blood. Like it had brains and shit all over it. But yeah, no, that was like a bucket list for me just to be dead on screen. And now whenever I want it, yeah, it's fun to watch because when you have like makeup on and stuff, it's not like necessarily you, so you can kind of like go off. And that's like the part where I like hang myself. I feel like I was like channeling my like inner Jim Carrey or something like that. You know what I mean? Like you could just like let loose, but because I'm not definitely a terrible actor for sure. And so at least in music videos, you can kind of get away with that. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You just have to basically sing the song. So luckily, another thing too, just to like give you some more like behind the scenes of the video, that baby is actually Kyle's baby. So like that's the director's son, and then
Okay.
his wife was holding the baby. So like everyone was there. You know what I mean? Like it was just yeah, it was very cool and super happy with how it turned out. And like I said, like it looks pretty good for like a super shoestring budget.
Yeah. Because then even towards like the end, you have that like cool special effects moment where you like after you pick up your guitar and you start playing, obviously like we talked about like the floating guitar, but then like all the like the lights kind of flickering, and then
Yeah,
everyone kind of like having a moment, like that one lady like takes her glasses off and kind of looks at them, and then
yeah,
there's
that's
like the
right.
classic just like you know horn person, but like it just like comes out so well. Like it was like I feel like it was really well done. Not to say anything bad about the other music videos that you do have out as well. Obviously,
Hmm.
there is also a music video for Jawbreaker and Break Hearts, which are from the first EP, which were also fun to watch. I really like that Jawbreaker one because
Thank
it felt like
you.
very like Grindhouse, like trailer esque, and
Yes.
I was like, man, I'm ready for like the fucking movie to come out. Like I was like
Did
looking and I was like,
you,
oh, there's nothing there.
dude, also if you want to get, I didn't think about this at all, but what we should have done, that we should have, the funeral should have been for Curtis. So Curtis gets kidnapped, dies, and then the funeral is for Curtis, and then his picture is up. But like, why didn't we think of that? That would have been so,
Right.
just even in the video, it could have still been me dead, but just to have Curtis in the photo would have been like chronological, like they would have all ran into each other. So that was a mistake on our part. But I think the thing that is cool, that's kind of weird at the same time, is that we did the video for Jawbreaker. In the video, Curtis alludes to being killed and then he's not in the band anymore. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, oh, okay, well, at least the last video he's in, it shows him being off. So it's like, at
Yeah.
least there's some like semblance of like, something, but it's just like too funny. But no, funny enough, those two videos, the Jawbreaker video and the video for Breakhearts, were both made by my friend Connor McGuire. And he's the one that actually helped me with the first lyric of Unfinished Business. So it all
Oh,
runs into each other. Isn't that so weird? Like, it's
yeah.
just, yeah, the people that you surround yourself with, man, it's so important in life, and like I'm sure like you're 31, so you're getting older now. It's like, you know what I mean? I'm sure at this stage you're still hanging out with your friends quite a bit, but like, just as it goes, I found with my relationship, but we're all still our friends, but it's just like you have less and less time to like hang out like you did like when you were in your 20s, right?
Yeah.
And I definitely in my later life I write way more. I've written on the Rest Easy album and on Spurjar 2, most of the songs are about my relationships with friends more than like, as opposed to when you're younger, you're like, no, the girl broke my heart. You
But
know.
I mentioned this before too on a different episode. I like it when bands write for where they're at in their life. And like, obviously like you said, like and like let's say there's a Swear Jar EP that came out when you were in fucking high school. It'd be about girls and my parents
Yeah.
don't understand me and shit like that. But now it's like talking about like friend relationships and how how those are going, because you don't want to listen to a person that's like nearing 40 still talk about fucking high school problems when it's like
God,
we know you
no.
don't experience that anymore. Like
Well, it's like,
fucking
and
pick it
like,
up.
well, even like you just said, not to like hate on like our, Tom DeLonge of all people, like we love him to death, but like we don't need to hear him singing a song being like "Little Girl," you know what I mean? Like some of those Angels and Airwaves songs, I can't remember which one. There was like one called like "Rebel Girl" or something like that. There's just like it's just like kind of weird. It's like, dude, no one needs Tom DeLonge to be singing the lyrics "Little Girl." You know what I mean? Like it's just
Right.
I love Tom. Like he's I don't care about celebrities at all, but like Tom is just like I don't know. I'm just like I'm a big Green Day fan too growing up, but like something about like that age when like when Dude Ranch and like Take Off Your Pants and Jacket is just where I was in life. It was just like, Tom was it. And even still, like I just love the way he plays guitar. I love, I just everything about him is so cool. And but that's the one thing. It's just like I get what you're saying because it's like, for them, I get it. They're like this huge band and they have to like write songs for young kids. So like that's how it works. But at the same time, not to be saying that this new album they put out doesn't have age appropriate songs. It absolutely does. There's some fucking bangers on it. But and then you get those random songs where it's just kind of like, eh. I totally know what you mean, but like
Yeah.
I agree. I think that artists should write like where they are in life, not try to write for the radio, like that old saying, write for the radio, right?
Right. Yeah, because like I've said it before, is everything you put out is a timestamp of where you're at in your life. Like fucking it's cool to correlate, and then plus as your audience is aging with you, they're going to be experiencing those same problems when they at that point. So like, if someone puts out an album talking about like fuck the government and like all that stuff, obviously like that Against the Machine album, is super old, but now it's relevant to me with the shit that's going on now. But if someone in my era is putting out an album that's like similar and like feeling the same anger that I feel, like I'm going to relate to that more than high school problems at this point.
Totally, totally. And like I think for me, like growing up, that's why like I grew up obviously listening to like Green Day and like Blink-182 and but like when I sank my teeth into like the hardcore scene, I think is when I like, your eyes only open up. Like when you're in high school, like you go to your first, like, I don't know if you know the band Go It Alone, but I went to like my first Go It Alone show, which is like this Vancouver hardcore band. And it just like, you go to like nuts punk shows and stuff, but there was just something so like aggressive and different about the Go It Alone show. And like the stage diving was different. Everyone, the moshing was different. Everything was, it was so new and exciting. And I was such like so young that like I really like picked that up. And I think that like even like Go It Alone, like that style of vocal really like inspired me without even really thinking about it. Like I'm just saying this now, like just thinking about it, it makes sense because I've always sang with kind of like a grittier, you know, vocal style. But I really attribute that to like where I'm from, the Pacific Northwest, because like we have so many bands from this area that are just like these legendary bands that a lot of people don't know of, like, this band DBS, Go Alone, like I said. And, it's always like really aggressive, fast, like I don't know if you've heard like the whole West Coast 2/4 beats have double kick and like East Coast 2/4 beats on drums are just single kick. There's like that really
Mm.
distinctive like style of like fast punk beats or whatever. And like Vancouver is like we're on that West Coast on the double kick style, but it's so true because it's like DBS and all these bands, they all do that. And it's so weird. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I popped into the Go It Alone thing, but it's definitely like I don't know. Just thinking about like rough vocals and like areas and like how like down in Southern California, it's like not to say there's not rough vocals down there, but it's definitely more like the clean cut up north, like where Nirvana and stuff, everyone got into like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's
Yeah.
weird. It's weird to like look around and see like the different forms of pop punk and like how they're so different. And especially now, there's like a zillion different, I'm sure I don't even know all the terms, but like the way I look at it is that a lot of these newer punk bands that are like a lot younger than me, they grew up liking metalcore. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
they're really good at guitar and stuff. So then now they're like, oh, actually, I love pop punk and Blink-182, so I'm going to start a pop punk band. And then they start doing that, but they're just way better. You know what I mean? They didn't come from like a punk background. So like that's why new pop punk sounds the way it sounds. That's just my weird theory. I feel like it sounds a little bit different just because it comes from a different style of background writing. You know what I mean? Like what your root influences are really affect how you write music. And I think that's my point.
Yeah. No, I could definitely see that. With it also being like that there's only it seems like every scene only has so few like guitar players, so they could have that metal influence like growing up, but when there's a band that needs a guitar player, they're like, oh, we actually just play pop punk, and then they have to like almost like dumb it down and like do this whole new
Yeah.
style
Yes.
into that. Like I could definitely see that.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I think that there's definitely something to it, and it's like for me, like being like I am an elder millennial, and for like or an elder emo or whatever you want to call it. But like for me, it's like I suck at guitar. You know what I mean? And I always have. But like that comes off. I feel like it reflects in our music because it's like we're not the band that's going to be blowing your pants off with fucking riffs. We're not. That's not what we're advertising as. We're going to come. We're going to play. We're going to play as fast as possible, as loud as possible, and we're going to have fun. That's kind of
Yeah.
like what our mantra is and always has been, and that's why I love playing this band live. Is like the funnest band. Like Rest Easy's equally as fun live, but like something about when Swear Drive's playing live, it's just like I don't know, something just like locks in, and it's just like very special for me on stage. And yeah, I'm just like I love playing live with this band, and I'm really hoping that like we can come down to the States at some point because that's like what I mean. If you're gonna play pop punk, you got to be in the States, man. That's where it's at. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like Canada, like we got it, but it's like you got to come down there, man. Like that's where all the good shit's happening, and that's why it's just like we were saying earlier about the borders and stuff. It's just it's so tough for Canadian bands to come down to the States with these working visas that the U.S. government is needing us to have. And I understand, but it's just, it makes it really tough for, bands like us who don't make any money to, spend X amount of dollars on these visas that we're going to come down and not make our money back on. It's
Right.
just, you
Yeah,
have to
you
be
have to have almost
realistic.
like a you almost have to have like a long enough tour to make it worth it. But
If you,
with us
yes,
being at our ages now, like you only have so much vacation time. You got to get back to work at some point. Um,
Hmm.
the cost effectiveness just isn't there.
It isn't, and that's the thing. But there's this, yeah. The music is it's so different now compared to like when we were just growing up. It just seems so big, and I mean, not now, not that it's not big now, but just the projection of getting to let's say like Green Day size is so different than it was before because now it's like we were even saying like no one watches music videos anymore. So like music videos used to be such a good way to advertise your band because everyone's watching TV. No one has
Yeah.
cable anymore, so no one's watching TV and music videos. Like you literally just have to have a sick ass song, and it has to be on Spotify. Everyone's gonna hear it, and then you blow up. That's what I mean. Or like I know that everyone always talks about like you put their song on TikTok and it blows up,
Yeah.
but I've yet to see that myself. But I know it obviously does happen. I don't know if it happens in like the pop punk realm. Do you know if it happens in the pop punk realm?
There's a few pop punk bands that I've seen kind of just really blow up, like from a song or two off of TikTok,
Wow.
and then it's
Okay.
like super crazy just to like see like where they're at now. Like there's one band, and I don't know how I'm gonna say this, so I don't know if I should say them who it is, but like they blew up
No,
off of
yeah.
TikTok. They ended up, I think they were from like Texas. They ended up moving to like LA, and now they're like on one of the legs of like Fall Out Boy's next tour. It's
Oh wow. Holy
like
shit.
yeah, like but in my mind, I also saw some stuff where I think one of their parents was also like this kind of influential hardcore band because like they were at like Furnace Fest. So I'm kind of like, is there some nepo-ness to it?
Yeah.
It's always weird, especially when I see a band like blow up off of TikTok and see where they go, because I don't know if it's just like the old dude in me of like just like, did you earn that? But I don't want to like take credit away from
No,
them.
I get
And
it. I
it's
totally get it.
like they did a route that worked, and it works for them, and props to them. But it's just crazy to see like going from being kind of unknown to now being on the Fall Out Boy tour. Like where's
Yeah,
that, like how?
that's a huge jump. And I've seen it before. Like not thinking about that now. A guy I know, his name is Bill Crook. He used to be in a band called A Textbook Tragedy forever ago. I don't know if you ever heard about that band. They were kind of big like in like the 2006s and on in Canada. But he was in a band. He started a band called Spirit Box.
Hmm.
That's what they're called. Yeah, Spirit Box. And they're like a heavy I don't know enough about it, but I know they're huge. I know
Yeah.
they're like massive now. So he started that band and they started that band from nothing. They literally just were like, oh, like, yeah, and they just did all the social media stuff and then they were like opening up for Limp Bizkit and shit like that like a year later. You know what I mean? Like and then yeah. But yeah, imagine opening for Limp Bizkit. That'd be so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Holy
But it's
shit.
also like, I don't know if it's just because um it's just so weird to see in like that scene where like in like metal or like pop punk or anything like that, blowing up so fast overnight seems crazy for this style of music, whereas like, you know to kind of flip it over to like the rap and hip hop, Post Malone posted a song on SoundCloud and blew up like what seemed like overnight and did all that. Like it makes sense in like the top 40s era or like genre
Yes.
of music on that side, but it feels so weird for it to
Yeah.
happen and be possible on this alternative style of the genres, that like when it does happen, it just is crazy. Like props to being able to do it, but it just seems so almost wrong.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
yeah,
I agree for sure. But like you said, it's like hopefully there's no nepo going on, which is like very possible. But it's like if that band literally just like like you said, they got seen on TikTok and it went fucking crazy, millions of views and all that stuff, and then of course that's gonna bleed over into everything else. But yeah, it's something. There's something about like the struggle, like we were saying earlier, like the band struggling, like they're just getting by, but then last second before they all implode, like they just they write that song and then they explode. You know what I mean? Like there's
yeah,
something so that's like the old school. Our generation of bands, because like that was great. That was Green Day. It's like if Green Day didn't blow up with Dookie, like they wouldn't have been anything. You know what I mean? And
right.
so it's like and then even Nirvana, you could put them in there as well. Like that whole like Kurt Cobain was living on the fucking street when they made Nevermind. Like they were recording Nevermind. He lived on the fucking street. So it's like no shit, you're gonna hear like awesome, you know, everything about that in the music, and that's why those albums are so special, you know. But yeah, and also just on like the since we're talking about like new pop punk and stuff, there's something about like whatever happened to like real amp sounds, and like I've sound must sound like the oldest fucking asshole ever, but like can we just like fucking plug in an amp and fucking put a mic in front of it and get like real amp sounds instead of like computer laser shit? Like it's actually. I saw Knuckle Puck. They opened for Real Friends and they used real amps and sounded so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And then all these bands are not using real amps, and it just sounds like they're twanging on like a, I don't know. I must be old school in that sense, but props to Knuckle Puck for using like their real amps. It made them sound so much better live. I don't know, I don't know a lot about that band. I know that a lot of people love that band though, but they really impressed me live.
Yeah, they're
Um,
also super sick. They're also from the Chicago area.
okay,
Um,
cool.
and like there used to be, I don't know if it's still out there. There's like a mini documentary from like when right before they put out like their one EP that like kind of really blew them up. They literally like one, I think it was Knucklepuck. One of their members was working as like a janitor for the school, and they literally pulled up outside of the school to like they were about to head out on tour, and I think he had just like worked his last shift because he was like quitting to go on tour, and then like their trajectory from there has just been like
See,
fucking insane.
that's what I'm talking about. Like, I love that. I love that. He got to fucking leave his shitty fucking janitor job to finally go on tour. And like they're obviously I know that I see their like them on posters all the time. So I know that they're
Yeah.
touring like all the time now. But yeah, they had really good stage presence. Their singer was quite like fun to watch for
Oh yeah.
sure. And yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I love that shit. Like it's like, and the fact that they like shared that with everyone, like they were posting it, I
Yeah.
love that. Like that's so cool, you know. And then I don't know, it's that see that's I need to delve more into the Knuckle Puck. I think they seem like a bunch of cool guys.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like it's definitely back to like the recording aspect for us. It's like I am very inspired by, you know, what I grew up around and like the, you know, DBSs and all bands like that. So for us, it's like we definitely have like I wouldn't say there's a like a diagram or like any kind of blueprint to what we're doing, but it's just like it's weird because when you're writing stuff, you're doing it. It's you doing it, but like a lot of times you're not in control. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like some of it just happens, and then sometimes the best shit just happens, and you kind of just have to follow the flow and don't fight it. But another thing with writing for, you know, I'm talking a lot about writing, but if other songwriters are having issues, if you're sitting in front of a piece of paper and you're trying to write something out and it's not coming, just fucking put it away. Go do something else, and then it'll come. Just
Yeah.
let it come.
Because wasn't one of the songs off Swear Jar 2 like you wrote in like 2012 or something like that?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like well the first that first intro, the intro song, that was a bridge of a demo idea that I had. And but like the rest of the song just didn't make sense and we loved that little bridge so we rewrote it into but that's just it. It's like that's another thing too. It's like if you're a songwriter, make sure that you have everything labeled and have everything in a folder so that you can go back and check stuff. Because you don't like if something you hear again 5 years down the line, you might be like, "Oh my God, that sounds awesome." And I do that all the time. You just don't think about the old crap that's sitting in a folder on your computer that you haven't looked at in, you know, however long.
Yeah. With obviously like we've kind of mentioned like um uh Swear Jar, I blanked for a second.
Oh, it's
Like we
all
kind
good,
of
Michael.
mentioned,
Don't worry, man.
uh Swear Jar is, you know, kind of like this melodic punk, pop punk amalgamation. Do you feel like that living in that Vancouver area influenced that? Like if you would have stayed at like let's say you stayed down in California and grew up down there and ended up doing Swear Jar there, that it would have been more of like the pop punk that we know of from like
Oh my
in
God.
general instead of like this more like hardcore punk that you kind of
Holy
do.
shit. Yeah, dude. Oh my God. You know what? I don't think there's a way that it wouldn't be just because of like the environment that I'd be surrounding myself in. Because I would have, if I think about that, I would have been instead of being here going to hardcore shows, I would have been going to Chain Reaction. Not that they didn't have hardcore shows there. and I did go to shows there, but thinking about the local shows, yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting. But the only thing that I would argue is that I'm not a very good singer, and like I kind of just like push through. So like nothing where I live can change like this. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
what my body can do. So like the vocal part, I don't think would change. But you know what? That's not true because maybe if I was down there,
Might have
I'd
had
be trying
someone
to
else,
sing better. Yes.
or
Like
that
you never
too.
know. Yeah. Yeah, like you said, like I was just talking about the go it alone thing and how like that aggressive vocal really affected me. So yeah, if I never was there and never saw that environment, for sure, I would be like, yeah, man, that's so fucking interesting.
Right.
That's a cool idea,
it,
man.
it, it's crazy when you think about it like that, of like, oh, everyone knows like Blink 182, obviously, they came from Southern California, but imagine if they came from like not there, and just how that
Yeah.
sound would have been entirely different.
Yeah. I guess you could say that like yeah, that is wild. It is crazy to think about. But like I said, I'm a big advocate for like for sure where you're from and like think about Blink 182 and that SoCal sound. Like that's the sound. It still
Yeah.
is the sound. And like they even said themselves recently, y'all wish you could do what we do, but you can't do it like us because no one can. It's true. And like they proved it. Like that Anthem Part 3, fuck, what a banger. Like I don't know if you like the new Blink album, but at least that like the Anthem Part 3, like I just think that fucking they nailed that song for sure. And I like the I think the one more time, like the video and shit made me cry. I'm not gonna lie. I watched that and I was like, this is just too with all the old videos and all the old like scenery behind them while it's all changing. I was like, fuck, man, they're really getting my fucking heartstrings on this, you know? Did you listen to that new album?
So I'm one of those guys that's not like a super huge Blink fan.
Dude. Oh, the
I
dude,
also
totally get it.
I'm also one of those weird guys where, like, most people my age, like I said, I'm 31. Most people my age, when they were growing up and getting into like pop punk and the alternative scene, they were listening to, Blink, Green Day, Sum 41, all that stuff. I kind of was weird, or at least different. Like, I grew up in a smaller, like, farm communities. So like I grew up listening to whatever, like the high school kid on my bus would like say, "Hey, listen to this." Like he
Hmm.
gave me like a mix CD that had fucking like Limp Bizkit, um,
Yes.
and then like a bunch of other like really weird metalcore stuff, or like
Hell yeah.
like weird stuff. Like I remember hearing Pig Squeals for the first time at like fucking 12, and I was like, "What the fuck is happening right
Pig
now?"
Destroyer and shit.
I don't remember who it was. I have to look it up, but like there was one that was like talking about like being like a big bad, like it was in the point of view of being like a big bad wolf, and like talking about like the three little pigs. It
Oh,
was fucking
yeah,
weird.
yes. Yeah, I remember
Um
that.
but listening to that at 12, and then moving, and then listening to like a lot of like Eminem and like rap, and then there was Hollywood Undead in there, and then I started dating this girl in high school, and she was like, "Hey, listen to these bands," and then I got into like We the Kings, All Time Low, which I don't listen to anymore, obviously, and like that realm,
Oh,
Panic, and then
I forgot about that.
yeah, and then getting into that realm that kind of like bridged it over. So I got into pop punk in like
Yeah, wow, you had such
2010
a
to
different
2013.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. See, like you are the exact example of what I'm talking about, the different trajectory of where, when, like, and yeah, that totally makes sense. So, like, yeah. And like you said, you nailed me on the head. For me, it was Blink, Green Day, and not so much. No, I'm not gonna lie. Sum 41, they were definitely a thing because they were like, I loved Sum 41. The first album was called they did All Killer No Filler, which was the
oh
one that
yeah,
had that was their big hit. But the
yeah.
one
That one had
before
In
that
Too
was
Deep, and
yes,
that
they
other
had
single I can't think of.
they had one before and it was awesome too. And they had a song called oh shit. Anyways, that first record, I loved that one. That was like they were just like a punk band from Canada or like a pop punk band. But they didn't blow up at all. And so yeah, I definitely dug that one. And they had a Makes No Difference. The song's called Makes No Difference. Check that one out if you haven't heard that. That song fucking rips. Still does. And but like for me, like I liked Fat Lip and like that, but then as soon as they moved on from that, I kind of fell off. I'm one of those like, we're talking about our music styles. I fall into that type of person that's like the first two albums are awesome. Everything after that sucks. You know what I mean? Like I'm totally that person. I hate it, but I don't want to be that person because it's not true. Because it's definitely not true. But there's definitely this certain cases where the first few albums for a lot of bands are the best ones, you know?
Yeah, you know,
But
I'm also the same way, and it's really bad considering I do this podcast where I talk to hundreds of bands at this point, where I still listen to like my Spotify Wrapped every year is like the same shit
yes,
every year because I
me
listen to the
too.
same
Me
stuff,
too.
and it
Yes.
looks so
Hell yeah.
bad on my part because
Yeah.
I'm like I can't post this because then everyone's gonna be like, bro, you literally talked to 50 bands this year and not a single one is on this list. I'm gonna be like,
Well,
uh,
that's not how it works. That's not how it works. No one that should not be an expectation
no, I know
because
it's not an expectation, but it just looks bad on my part because I'm like,
I
oh,
just
I'm still gonna listen to all these albums for 2011.
I disagree because
Yeah,
I'm in the exact same boat because like I'll every time I get my Spotify wrap, I'm like, big shocker, wow, same as last year. Or like the few like that 10 bands, your favorite 10, you just cycle back. Like one year you'll have the five, then the next year you switch to the next five. That's me kind of without even really knowing it. Like one year I like right now I'm listening to like a shit ton of Green Day again, but I haven't listened to them for like 2 years, or I've been listening to Blink before that, or I'll be like obsessed with Built to Spill again for a while. But I go or like the Pixies, like I go between all my favorite bands, and then they kind of take over. And then like my favorite band of all time is the Misfits, but like I don't listen to them all the time. You know what I mean? It's like that whenever near Halloween time, or someone will say something about the Misfits, and it's like, yeah, I gotta listen to All Hell Breaks Loose. You know what I mean? Or like something like that. But yeah, I am the same. Where it's like I definitely am like an old record, just playing the same shit over and over.
yeah. Um, well, I know we've kind of jumped around on
Yes,
Swear
I
Jar too.
apologize.
No, no, you're fine. You also, like I said at the beginning, I let you go on some tangents. You spilled some tea. We kind of found out some more about Vessel. We kind of talked about the music video. Um,
Yeah.
you kind of did mention that most of this year is just going to be spent kind of keeping your heads down, writing to go to the studio starting next year.
Hmm.
Obviously, we're recording this at the end of January 2024, so it's a long road till then.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
is there anything that we can kind of expect from Swear Jar for this year? Like, do you guys have any like small tours planned through your area? Any shows that you might know of coming up?
Yep. So no, we're writing, but we're going to be doing as many shows as possible. And if you're a band and you want us to come play your city, and give us a shout on our Instagram at SwearJar604. But yeah, no, the plan is just we're going to write. We've got some shows booked. We're playing Vancouver, April 5th. It's Early Onset Records. We're doing a fundraiser for our vinyl pressing. So we're actually getting Swear Jar 2 and Swear Jar 1 pressed on the same vinyl.
Oh,
So
nice.
they'll be back to back. Yeah, I'm so excited about it. Like that's how I honestly wanted it to be from the get-go. I just thought that one and two, they just go together really well, I think. And
Yeah.
I think it's a really cool idea to like have each side of the record be each cover. So you just flip it around, and you'll have like a inside liner note. So that's happening April 5th. We're playing Vancouver, we're playing at Redgate, and then we are playing Kelowna, BC at Jackknife Brewing on April 12th. And I think it's going to be our second time coming through Kelowna. So that's going to be the last time we played there was a sold out show. So it was freaking rad. So can't wait to get back there. And then we're playing Chilliwack for the first time on April 13th. So we're kind of doing like a little mini tour in April. And but yeah, no, we're open for I really want to get down to Washington State, play some shows in Washington State. You know what I mean? That's the closest state to us. So, we gotta, hey, if there's any bands down in Washington State want to be friends, hit us up because you can come play up here and you can use our gear and we'll come down there, and if we can use your gear, one of those type deals. So hit us up, baby. Yeah, but like really it's we're trying to take this year to really, write some good songs, and take our time, and not that we haven't done that before, but because I know that we got a lot of crap from our fans just because there was such a huge gap between and it didn't help that I was like, don't worry, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, because I didn't know. You know what I mean? I
Right.
didn't know when it was coming, and I thought it was going to be coming sooner. So I built this whole thing up, and of course everything kind of went on hiatus for a year, and then we picked it all back up, obviously. But I'm just really happy that, where we are now. And I'm really looking forward to 2024. There's a lot of twos and a lot of fours. I just like that just seems like good numbers. You know what I mean? Because 2023 was definitely not a bad year, but it was I think that everyone kind of like came out of 2023 struggling a bit more than they were, don't you think?
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Right? Even if it's just like a grain more, it just seemed like it was a hard year for like everyone that I know. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like anyone had like their best year ever. Maybe unless you're like some celebrity.
Now with this full length, are you going to keep? I know this is obviously still early in the process,
hmm
but is the
hmm
plan to keep the 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 track
Or
going of just calling it Swear Jar 3 or
so I've been thinking about this a lot, and so where Swear Jar 1 and Swear Jar 2 is inspired from, I love Danzig, so it literally just came from Danzig 1, Danzig 2, Danzig 3. And I think he went all the way up to Danzig 4. The only thing that I'm pondering on is that these ones were all EPs, right?
mm,
So the Swear Jar 1 and Swear Jar 2 are EPs, and if this is going to be a full length, I feel like it maybe should have its own title.
yeah, it needs to
But
differentiate just a little bit.
right? That's my only thinking. And also, three is kind of like I like the number three, but I also am a little bit scared of the number three. So I don't know if I want to have it like on anything. That's super paranoid, weird thinking, but like something about it, it, the thing that's weird, that the Swear Jar 2 was originally going to be called It Comes in Threes because bad things come in threes. And literally, as soon as we decided that, shit fucking bad shit, three bad fucking things happened. So like, you know what I mean? And I've always that's been a mantra that like my dad has said since I was a kid is I didn't actually come up with that name. It was Curtis that came up with it. He's like it comes in threes. And so anyways, that's why the number three. I'm just kind of like but also it's synonymous with the band. So we'll see. We'll really see. Also, it really depends on what kind of album cover we're going to be dealing with because I do want to keep the like the episodic thing going with the photos
Yeah.
because I like the I took the album covers for all of our for both EPs, but it really depends because like if I don't take a cool photo within the next year, who knows? You know what I
Right.
mean? It really those two photos just kind of happened. It wasn't like I went out planning to take the photos. It's just I have this Polaroid camera that I kind of just always have on me and I'll just snap shit. But the thing that's cool about the EP one photo is that there's the sun kind of looks like a UFO, and that's why I like the. If you look at it again, it's just the sun because I took a photo of palm trees at the sun, and it's just the way that the way that it develops makes it look, but it's like a perfect saucer shape. And then you can't really notice it, but in the second photo on Swear Jar 2, if you look in the doorway of uh the asylum, there's actually a weird like ghost silhouette like hair that I never noticed that's in the photo. So both photos have some weird like paranormal shit with them. You know what I mean? So like if I get another cool photo like that, I'm definitely going to use it. So that's kind of
Oh
like
hell yeah.
the story behind that. I really love I love like all that stuff. Like I don't I love like spiritualism and like I love a good ghost story is what I'm basically getting at. I like to be
Yeah.
scared. But like it's one of those things where it's like I want to believe, but I haven't. I've had some like ghosty experiences, but nothing that's been like I'm a believer. You know what I mean? Like they're definitely a thing. But like my whole thing with since we're talking about death and like ghosts and crap like that, like let's say you're in a haunted house and you're at a place where a family was murdered like horrifically. You know what I mean? Think about the energy from that happening in that house the energy of like, whatever happened, the murdering and all that stuff. It's just that is what I think is left behind. Is because it's such the energy and the whole thing that happens there, like, you know what I mean? It might not necessarily be ghosts, but we don't know enough about our universe like that. I think we affect our environment a lot more than we think we do. Like, let's say, like, really traumatic shit. Like, you hear about that kid that picked the car up off his dad, that it was crushing him. You know that story? How did that happen? How do you explain
Right.
that? You know what I mean? He literally picked up a car so his dad could crawl out of it. Like, that's just some bending of reality, So I don't think it's like impossible that, if something horrific, a really energy type of situation happens, that there's a mark left behind. And maybe that's just an imprint on time. And that's what the people are hearing or seeing. Like if you hear a voice, or if something walks past, or, something like a creak in the night or whatever it is, it could just be like like an imprint on that area. I don't know. We don't know enough about everything to be like it's ghosts or it's religion or whatever. You know what I mean? I just a weird idea. And I know that like something has to happen to the energy that is controlling these vessels. You know what I mean? Like what happens to them when they go there? Like, but I definitely believe that like very traumatic and like big moments could definitely leave a mark on a house or something like that.
Hmm.
I know that I'm on a weird tangent, but this is like something I've been thinking about. I don't know. I feel that, I know they've said that like since we were kids or whatever, that like we only use a certain amount of our brain. Like we don't use the entire thing. Why?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Why don't we use the whole thing? Like, is something unlocked that we're not, picking up on? And then, yeah, that could go off into like a whole bunch of like other things, but there's definitely, I think that we as people are way more like powerful than we think. And like when we're down in the dumps and stuff like that, like we're really bringing our own energy down, like where we don't realize that we're putting negative energy out and it's affecting the situation that we're in, rather than like being in a positive mantra where you're putting positive energy out and receiving positive rather than putting out negative and negative coming in. It's definitely a thing because we all get there. If we can't fight it, like you're going to be depressed some days and not some others. But it's something that I've noticed in my life, that like when I'm down in the dumps moping around, it's like you get a lot more of that than you'd get, the happy good times when I
Yeah.
just, yeah. Yeah. Do you find anything in that like realm of like, if you're like putting out like PMA rather than NMA, it's like life is good, or do you find that makes a difference?
I feel like I notice it. But then I don't know. It's also tough because like I don't know. This is just like a side note. Like I live with myself, so like if I just feels like it's already happening anyways. Where I'm just like, ugh, like it's already
Yeah,
I'm already here
you're
type deal.
you're stuck. You're stuck.
Yeah,
You feel like
yeah.
you're stuck.
I have no one to
Yeah.
like to bounce those vibes off of, so it makes it a little bit more
Mm.
difficult to like track. But that's sad mopiness that we don't talk about. I'm
No, no,
fine.
no,
No,
no.
no, I'm just fine with you. But you know, I think it's cool, and I'll have to go look at these album covers again to fully like notice
Yeah,
like
check him
the kind of
out.
UFO sun and like the little ghost in there. I'm curious to see what kind of photo you end up with for LP1 and where that goes from there. Because like I'm really stoked just to see what a full length from Swear Jar looks like.
Me too, man. And I'm telling you right now, from the songs that we've gotten, it's gonna be pretty cool because we've got like, there's already some fast songs, but already like we're really, the way that we're writing this one is because our drummer lives in a different town. We've been doing like I'll send him the riff
Mm-hmm.
idea, and then he literally just plays on his drums where he's at, sends me the file of him playing over my like idea, and then we kind of go from there. So we're really getting these like really like I would consider them. You're not going to get the thing that's nice about Swear Jar 1 and Swear Jar 2 is that the riffs are very, with me, you're always going to get consistent riffs because it's my writing style. But I find that the two like really flow into each other. And then this one, you're gonna get all those same things, but we're definitely like expanding. Like on this one, we have this longer song. Like we have a song that's like closer to 3 minutes, which is like unheard of. Like we don't do that, but it's really special. And like I'm really feeling really good about this song. It's a little bit, I wouldn't say it's slower, but it's just it's in like a different like kind of vein. And like already like the three that go into that song, and I'm just so excited to see what comes after that. You know what I mean? Because it's just going to be a different vibe, and you're going to get such a big sample size of like what this band is, you know?
Mhm.
So I'm really looking forward to that. And then also just the recording process this time around is going to be so fun because we know what's happening. Like there's no up in the air. You know what I mean? Like we have a plan. The plan is going to happen, and you know what I mean. It's not nothing's up in the air. Like I feel like for the first time in this band's history, we know exactly like what our projection is and what our goals are. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to. But one thing that just if I can give you any semblance of what the album cover for the next one might be, it might be like a burnt down house or something like that. That would be kind of cool. Like some kind of like I think that would be sweet because the last one was like a building. It'd be cool to show like a charred something that was met. But like, how do you see that? You literally have to stumble across a house that burned down. So we'll see if
Yeah,
I
you just
stumble
had to
across.
like listen to like the police
Yeah.
blotter of like, oh, a house is burning right now.
Yeah, so like that's the thing. That's the thing that's kind of cool is that, we kind of just as much as I like to plan stuff out, we really like, this band really takes its influence from around everything that hits us. And, not only myself, like I write the riffs and like, write the lyrics and stuff, but like my bandmates, like our drummer Andrew is incredible. And like we wouldn't be as sonically interesting if it wasn't for him. Because like when you listen to us, at least we have the drums are cool. You know what I mean? Even I think the drums are cool because like he's really good. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I just think it offers like it just makes us that gives us that much of a difference compared to like other bands that are kind of in the same vein as us. Not to say that there's other bands that don't have really good drummers too. They're good, but Andrew just has like a different way of like he's always like pushing himself to make parts more exciting for himself to play rather than just being like, oh, I can just do the like regular old 2/4 beats. Like that's boring as fuck. I'm gonna like switch it up a bit. And that's what we're truly trying to embark on in this album. We want to like push ourselves to not just be like, oh, okay, like that works and we've done that a bunch of times, so we're just gonna do that again. You know what I mean? So we're pushing the envelope a little bit, gonna try to like write some different stuff that maybe we wouldn't have ideas that maybe wouldn't have pushed in the past. We're going to push them a bit forward. But like the main thing with us is if it feels good, we're going to do it. And if it doesn't feel good, we're not going to do it. And that's kind of how we've always been. Like if it feels right, hell yeah. But if it doesn't, like I'll send the guys an idea. And if they're like, this sucks, then I put it away and then maybe I'll look at it again like in a while. But usually we're on the same page and it's like, wow, like that's it. Like, with the writing for this full length, it's been we're just I can't believe like I was saying earlier like I just can't believe how easy the songs are coming. Like I've never had like a time in my life where I've just been like, oh yeah, here's a cool riff, and then I sat down and wrote some lyrics that I what didn't fucking hate. That's the thing that is the hardest for me is to like sit down and write something out that you can stand behind and be like, that's not cringy, or it's not too leaving yourself too open. But I don't know if the lyrics come across, but I've been told in the past that my lyrics are very vague, and I think that the reason that they might be a little bit more vague is because I like songs for anyone to take it and put it in their own shoes. I don't want
Mhm.
anyone to listen to my song or our songs and then be like, oh, well, that guy who is experiencing this, so I can only experience that from listening to this. Like that's not what I want. I want you to listen to it and then you to put your own life, because you know how music is. It's so freaking powerful. You listen to something and you don't even know the words, but you're already jacked up on it. You know what I mean? And that's more important to me. Like I want someone to listen to it and be like, fuck, like that's awesome. And then they can, morph it into how it fits them any way possible. And that's what I think music is best for. I really hate it when it's like you see some singer guy and someone's talking to them about the lyrics and they're like, oh, that's not what the song's about. Like, actually, the song's about this. It's like, fuck you. The song can be whatever about the person that is experiencing it. You know what I mean? As soon as you write the song, sure, it's your song or whatever, but the way that someone listens to it and experiences it is all them. And that's what, you know what I mean? It just bothers
Yeah,
me with,
yeah. Music is subjective in every aspect of it.
yeah. Yes. So it's just like in every aspect of it. And it's like me and you, we all like stuff and we all don't like stuff, you know. We're not going to be able to like everything. But even in that just saying that, I respect anyone that's going up and playing music in front of people because it's not it doesn't you can't just go and do it. You know what I mean? And you're taking a risk and you're putting yourself out there. And you know what I mean? A lot of stuff that is like, I want to say that like 50% at least of crap that goes out. It's not good. And you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And not saying that my stuff's good or any better, but like there's always going to be like someone out there hates us for sure. Like this band sucks. Like I never would listen to this. You know what I mean? So it's just yeah, I have mad respect for anyone in music or comedians, anyone that's putting themselves on a stage with a mic in front of their hand. Like it's not easy. And especially if you're doing something really like, I'm trying to think of a band that like is taking risks, but I can't really think of any of them because they don't last long because
right.
you know what I mean? Like they do it and then no one cares. And then, it's just
It's
it's an
it's
interesting
tough.
time,
Yeah,
Michael. Yeah, it
yeah,
is. Are you playing in bands right now, Michael? Or are you not in any
Uh,
bands right now?
so I never played in any bands. I was always just like the merch or TM or driver.
Hell yeah.
All my friends were always playing bands. I tried to learn bass once and then kind of gave it up real fast. So I've always been behind the scenes in the music scene.
So you weren't the roadie that went up and like sang some parts for some songs?
There was one tour where I did do that, which
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can
I
see
usually
that.
had to pound like a beer or
I
two
see,
to be able
I
to get
see
up
that
there.
on you. I see that on you for sure. As soon as you said like, I'd like, do merch and stuff, I was like, you're totally the friend that like would go up and like do the cool like heavy part or something for the song. You know what I mean?
I definitely tried to look cool and to do the heavy part, but it
Yeah.
I would have
You
such an
get.
adrenaline rush when I would get off stage that someone would be like,
Oh yeah.
"Dude, that was sick," and I'd be like, "Yeah, yeah, 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 yeah," and then I just go
Oh
back to the
dude.
merch table.
One thing I'll say about like with Rest Easy and Swear Jar, we opened for Lagwagon not long ago. Like when you play these big shows, like I totally get like guys like Mark Hoppus and like or sports athletes that they go out every day and they play in front of 42,000 people or whatever, and the crowd, just like this loud ass shit. I like the semblance, the littlest little taste of that when we opened for Face to Face. It was a sold out show in Vancouver, and it was just us and Face to Face, and we played. And I'll never forget. Like we played our first song, and the crowd just fucking was like, "Oh!" And I fucking felt it hit me in the chest. Like it was just like and I was like, whoa, that was fucked up. Like I've gotten like crazy goosebumps from playing shows and stuff like that, like and all the good vibes like many times, but I've never experienced like a wall of people's like, hit me. So like and like the high that gave me for like a month was insane. So I totally get like these athletes and these guys having a hard time when they're done because they don't experience that. Like, oh my God, it's just insane. So like I can't even imagine if you're doing that for like playing at a hockey stadium or like playing to 50,000 people. My sample size is 700. I think that's a 700 people room. You know what I mean? So like that was loud. Can't even imagine. Like it's just wild.
Yeah. Um,
One thing I know we were talking about like we were kind of like going through the songs earlier or whatever, but just before I totally run us off the rails, my personal favorite and the song that I'm probably the most proud of on Swear Jar 2 is probably Till the Ceiling Breaks.
mm,
Something about that song was actually like I wrote an apology to an old friend, and the lyrics for that song actually came from that apology that I wrote. And I just think that it's like that song musically and lyrically, it's like what I would like to like. I just would like to keep going in like that realm. Like I really think that that's a good example of like the best of what Swear Jar can be is that song. And yeah, it's just like special. And at the same time, I think that when you're writing about something that's like really important to you and like like maybe a big like shift in life, I don't know, whenever we play that song live, it's just like it's extra special to me because I don't know, I just get like a bit more emotional. And the fact that a lot of people have come to me and said like, this song really means a lot to me. And there's a lyric in it that's basically just saying like, don't let, you can't let someone tell you how to live your life, and it's basically just I like I was saying earlier about if someone doesn't really necessarily know what I wrote the song about, they can listen to that lyric and it can be whatever they want it to be, whether it's like someone telling them they can't be trans or, whatever, you know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know. I like the mantra of like where that song comes from. It feels like a healing song. That's what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
and but and then to follow that one up with a song like We Fail, which is just literally a song about like how our world has failed completely. I literally just tried to write a song that was about like with We Fail was just it was like I wrote that song even like way before. That was like 2020, like right when the pandemic was like kicking up or whatever. And I just like was looking around and I just tried to make like write an honest song, and I sat on it for a while because I was like, this is so fucking cringe. You know what I mean? Like the lyrics are just like, you know what I mean? Like no one's gonna like this. And then my bandmates were just like, dude, this is so good. Like, you know what I mean? This is like just a very honest look at, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand what you think is cringy about this. And I was like, well, I don't know, but thank you for, it gave me the guts to, because it's just a very personal look at things and, everyone has their different view. So it's like, it's not like I'm going out there telling everybody that I'm right and you're wrong, but it's just like
Right.
this is just the way that I looked. But I think that we all can agree that we look around and the world's fucked. You know what I mean? In more ways than one, and in so many ways, and not that doesn't just mean shit happening in Israel or I'm talking like just what fucking cops do on a regular day. We were kind of touching on that earlier. It's just every aspect of our like democracy or whatever is just so backward, and there's like so many different loopholes to our I don't know. In Canada, our judicial system is an absolute joke, and that's another thing that like really bothers me. It's like at least in the States, you guys have like your system, what the person's going to go to jail for. It might be a little bit fucked up, of course it is. But in Canada, like a pedophile will like molest a kid, his own kid, kill his wife, go to jail for 5 years, and then get custody of his kid back. Like, I'm not shitting you. It's like, I don't understand our judicial system. It's also, well, where's the kid going to go? Maybe not into his abusive father's hands. Like, you fucked. Like, so it's just, that song is just literally we failed. You know what I mean? We already
Yeah.
failed. You know what I mean? It's done. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure everything that's gonna happen, for the next 100 years of this planet's already fucking dealt with, and we've already known that we could have done so much stuff to fix it. But money rules this shit, and until that changes, we're done. Unfortunately, and that's just looking at that song, it's just that's it's depressing as fuck. People love that song though. We usually play it last, and then people are digging it. But yeah, it's a bittersweet song because I'm happy with how it turned out, but it's like it's very sad because it's not necessarily like a good light.
Right.
And if I'll final it off with the last song, which is Hard to Cope. And Hard to Cope was a song we were talking about friendships, and this was a song that I wrote about my best friend who we're not friends anymore for, just like really petty, stupid shit, disagreements on literally nothing. And it's just my sad take on, a friend of mine that taught me so much in my life. And then now I'm conflicted on everything that I learned from them, you know what I mean, because of how they are now, you know. And it's just yeah, life's interesting. Like if you would ask me 10 years ago if me and so would still be friends, I would absolutely say that was the for sure one thing in my life that would have been the same would be that me and this person were still friends. But lo and behold, we're however many years down the line, and I don't even get a text from the guy. And it's crazy because it's literally over nothing. Like, I don't even want to say what it was over because it's just, one person thinks one thing about a certain thing, and then the other person hates that
Yeah.
thing so much, and that's all that it matters. And then you're basically dead to that person, and it's just like, what? Like, we've been friends for how long? And I'm dead to you because this, and basically that's just that song is just basically an accumulation of that relationship. And I feel like that one too, like the one thing that I try to do is I just try to write my songs from the heart. And at least I feel like on Swear Jar 2, because I didn't write all the lyrics for Swear Jar 1. Obviously Curtis did a lot of the lyrics for Swear Jar 1, but I feel like they're very honest, and maybe that comes through. Hopefully that comes through.
No, it does for sure, and I feel like that just adds more to the songs in general, and like adds to the listening experience. Because like we kind of talked about earlier, was like you feel like the your heart through the songs, which adds so much more.
Thanks, Michael. Like we were saying earlier, like you got to feel that pain. If you're not feeling
Hmm.
that pain, it's like what? It's just like a hollow, empty nothing. And that's honestly when I listen to music, like I have to hear that something that really like catches my ear and to like move forward. But and not necessarily it needs to be like the pain, but you know how it is. Sometimes when you hear that new song that you've never heard before and you're already you don't know anything about the band, but you're already like you're sold. You're like, this is dope. I've never heard this before. I have no idea what they're talking about, but this is my new favorite song. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then it goes from there. Um, I love that experience. I feel like I hope that everyone gets the same out of that I do because when I listen to a new song and I fully like for example like when Military Gun first came out and like they came out with the song I think it was like Very High or Never Fucked Up Once. I was never really a big I dabbled with the band, but like those songs just like they hit me. You know what I mean? I don't even to this day I couldn't tell you what the lyrics said. Something about even just the Very High part. It's like yeah, it hit me and it was special. And then I moved on from there and then looked at the rest of their catalog and stuff. And but it's funny how like you can find a band with a song that you love, and then you go through the catalog, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that you really don't like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It happens all the time too, and that's what I'm facing with them right now. Is that you know what I mean? I love a lot of their tunes, but just like my issue with them, and this is like going to be on YouTube, and so everyone's going to hear my fucking opinion. Whatever. It's not even really anything bad, but I like. I'm going to say this first. I like Military Gun beforehand, but all these like weird like indie like remixes they're doing, like he did this one. Like they did one with like the Manchester Orchestra or something recently. I don't know if you've heard it. It's
Hmm.
just I just don't understand who it's for. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like that's my gripe with it. Like I get that Phoebe Bridgers does a collab with Manchester Orchestra because that's like they're in the same vein, but like I just don't understand why they went that route. And no, that's no shade. Like they're just
Right.
out there doing their thing. Good job. You know what I mean? That's awesome. But for me as like a punk listener and like listening to your punk slash hardcore adjacent band, I'm a bit confused that you know what I mean, went that route all of a sudden. You know what I mean? That's just it. And it's like, not to hate at all because I respect, like I said earlier, anyone that's out doing it, that's great. But for me personally, if we're talking about personal taste, you know what I mean? And that being said, they did other remixes of the other songs that I did like, that were more like indie, like emo-ish rather than being like a punk song. Have
Right.
you have you have you listened to Military Gun much?
I've listened to I think a few of their songs, but I wouldn't be able to like pinpoint exactly which ones.
Okay.
I've never like sat down and listened to like their like a full album of theirs. It's more just been like
Hmm.
if I have something like a radio just playing, it they pop up every so often, and then that's about it.
Gotcha.
Yes.
I would definitely give their latest full length that just came out a full front to back. It's totally
Okay.
worth it. Like it's a cool experience. Like lots of different songs. It's not like they touch on like the same I noticed that he talks about getting high a lot in lots of different songs. Like he'll use that like he'll kind of like you know what I mean. He definitely has like a style of his writing and they flow into each other, but it's got a good flow. But I'm the opposite where like I don't like to repeat lines too
Mhm.
much. You know what I mean? If I have one song that says a line, I'm not going to go out of my way to repeat it in another song that it's not like related to. But that's the thing about writing is that everyone writes different, you know?
Yeah. Um,
So
but yeah, but I'll have to give that album a chance.
you should. You should give it
Today
a you
this
should give it a shot. And then you also while we're on, have you listened to Drug Church at all?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that band rocks. See, I like drug. It was like Military Guns here, Drug Church is like here. Same guitar player, which I think is noticeable. Like if you listen, I think that's partially why I like Military Gun because the riffage is the
Mhm.
same guitar writer. But man, fucking that new Drug Church album is so good. Like their whole catalog is great, but I think there's like a Lieutenant Detective or whatever. There's a couple songs on the new one that are just such fucking bangers, and they're so good live. They killed every time they come to Vancouver. It's just like people are fucking throwing chairs around and shit. I love it.
It's awesome.
But yeah, like I think I've gone through like I'm just trying to think of any more tea that I've got like between the songs, but I feel like I've kind of described them. I don't know, honestly, I've gotten more out of this than the other stuff. That it's that I'm more of a talker, so like memories will just come to me like while I'm talking, and I feel like we got a bunch of good stuff from that, so that's good.
Yeah, no, I think we hit a bunch of good stuff as well.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no, Dylan, like I think we hit like a lot of good things about Swear Jar 2. Like everyone listening, please go listen to Swear Jar 2, listen to Swear Jar 1 as well. Curtis, you did amazing on that.
Hell yeah,
But like
Kurt.
I'm so stoked to see where Swear Jar just goes from here. Like obviously, like we've kind of mentioned a couple times, you're taking all of 2024 to write and demo and get everything ready for the studio in 2025, which we should probably see the full length probably, I would say maybe summertime 2025 depending on
That's
timing.
that. Yes, that's kind of the goal. Early record like January 2025, and then like yeah, if as soon as we can get that shit, pumped out, we're gonna get it out because we like it's just a matter of waiting until that time to record, just because studio time has to be booked. We just want to have all of our ducks in a row. That's the
Right.
idea.
But I'm super stoked. I know we talked about some of those shows that you guys are going to be doing in April, and like the little fundraiser that's going on as well to kind of, go towards vinyl for EP1 and EP2, which it's going to be sick to have. I mean, it's always sick just to have that physical format, but to have both of those as an A and B side is going to work out so well.
Oh,
Like
dude,
it's going to be
right?
so sick.
I'm so stoked, and I'm glad you're fucking stoked because I mean, I'm glad you appreciate how stoked I am too, because it's like, I don't know, I'll show you real quick. I've got like all the Rest Easy vinyls up on my wall right here, and
Nice.
I'm definitely gonna do the same thing. For me, like, you get the vinyl done and it's like I don't know, I just think it's special. It's like
Yeah.
it's not like you've made it or anything like that, but it's like you have a physical copy of the art you made, and it's I just think that there's I don't know, I'm thrilled that Swear Jar 1 and 2 are getting it because I just feel like they deserve it.
Yeah. No, like I've said this multiple times is I'm envious in the most positive way to every band that I've talked to that is getting their stuff put on vinyl, because yes, you can have a CD of it. Tapes are coming back, you can do a tape of it, but to have that, just that pressing in your hand is means so much. And as someone that just does, this podcast, I should never have any of these episodes pressed to vinyl because that'd be fucking weird. And I'll never get to experience that. And I'm so happy for every band that gets to experience, pulling it out of the sleeve for the first time to look at it and just hold it. Like
You
that's
know what?
amazing.
You never know, man. If this thing goes and you're doing like 500, if you're getting Joe Rogan numbers at some point, you know what? You know what would be fucking cool as shit is that you have like a best of snippets moment on vinyl.
That is
That would be
that
like,
we'll see what
you
happens
know
when
what I
we
mean?
get there.
If you were gonna do it, you know what I mean? That would be I would actually fucking be down with that. And
Dude,
but like, dude, I can't. Thanks again, Michael, for having me on. Like, this has been a blast. I really appreciate. Like, it's really fun talking to you. So I hope that we keep this, banter going into the future. But yeah, dude, I just want to compliment you a bit because I don't know if I said it at the top of the show or not, but running a podcast is not easy, and doing it as long as you've been doing it and well you've been doing it, it's impressive. So I just want to give you some, give you a pound and some props for that, buddy.
I appreciate that so much. This is one of those labor of loves that I'm. Some days I'm like, why am I still doing this? And then other days I'm like, I have to. They're all grind, baby, no
Have
stops.
you pushed for getting any sponsors or anything like that?
I haven't pushed super hard. I've kept it pretty much DIY this entire time.
Hell yeah.
I need what I should do. I drink a lot of beer on these episodes. Today was
Yes.
a little bit lighter than normal.
Well,
But
it's a bit early.
yeah, it's well, us Americans, we hit
Yeah. Well,
hard.
it's
But
Sunday too, so there's no rule.
yeah, exactly. No, I need to hit up people to maybe see about like local breweries to see if they would want to be down. It's definitely been something on my list for a while, but then I get self conscious in the same way that like I'll not hit up bands for like a couple months because I'm like, oh,
Of
they're all just gonna
course.
say no, and then I send out ten
Yeah.
emails and maybe get three back, which there's three
Yeah.
more than I was anticipating. So I appreciate anyone that takes the time out of their schedule to sit down with me to talk about their own band.
Oh,
It's
dude, you're doing a good dude. Just the fact that you're doing it for bands is amazing because it's just, especially, you're getting everybody. You're getting bands of like, that are obviously bigger than us, and then you're doing us, which are, you know what I mean? We're not, I don't consider us like a known band. So like any of this stuff is like, dude, I appreciate it, man. And the thing that's great about doing any of this stuff in general is that like, people that listen to us will now know about your podcast and come to check out new bands. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it's like I don't know. One thing I say it's we were talking about earlier. It's harder to move on and progress and stuff. But a lot of the things that are out now are so much better. Like just stuff like this, doing these things. It's so easy. We could just sit. You're in fucking Minnesota. I'm in BC, but we're talking like we're in the same room. You know,
Right.
like that stuff. Like it's so cool. And then like how easy it is for you to record a song on your phone and then edit it for 2 seconds and put it on the internet, and then you have a song. Like
Yeah.
we're literally in the golden age of making stuff, but it's just that money is the problem. you know, like you can really look at all the world's problems and it all comes down to money. But yeah, that's for a different conversation.
Right. Yeah, that's for the Patreon version of this podcast.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah,
there's no Patreon.
yeah. Come on
Don't
back.
worry,
So
people.
behind the paywall. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Give me money and then we'll talk about money problems in the break.
Yes,
But
damn right.
no, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
it's
right.
it's definitely a great time to be in. I mean, obviously like you kind of mentioned, you'll write your riffs and then send them off and then your drummer will kind of drum over them, and you don't have to be in the same room now to do shit. It's crazy, and it just really makes it, obviously if you want to be a band and you want to play shows, it makes you have to be somewhat near each other, but to
Hmm.
at least
Hmm.
get in the demo process and recording process, you don't have to be in the same room together all the time. It's
No.
insane.
Bands need to like really like look at like everything they do. And I'm not saying that like you can't have your jam 3 times a week or whatever that a lot of bands do, right? It's like that's great and it shows that you guys are gonna be really tight. But like, you know what I mean? You really have to look at like your life and like how much time you're putting into stuff and like coming from Vancouver, like there's only so many drummers out this way. Like,
Hmm.
and they're all in like 5 bands. And I feel bad for them all because like they don't really have a choice. You know what I mean? Because it's like everyone's bugging them all the time to be in bands. But like yeah, it's just tough. And when you're young and you don't really know, you know what I mean? You're just like, yeah, you say yes to everything. And of course, yeah, I'll play in that band. I'll play band in this band too. But you just get so burnt out. And it's the one thing I'll say to anyone like thinking about starting a band is just that, make sure it's fun. Always make sure that it's fun first off. And then everything else doesn't matter. It's got to be fun, and you got to be feeling good about it. And can't be related to money. It can't be related to like, what am I trying to say? Like you can't be reliant on someone else either. Like, you know what I mean? Someone else's vibe can't bring you down. Like, you have to, you have to just keep, I'm going off, I'm losing my train of thought, but basically I just
No,
want to say
I
that
know I
like,
know what you're getting at. You need to just focus on what your thought of an end goal is. Not focus on the money, not focus on the negatives. Just keep your heart in it and just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. But and like and honestly, if you look around at, you know, I know a lot of people don't agree, but like a band like Scowl, that band fucking kicks so much ass. They just literally got caught fire right when they were supposed to, and they like, they exploded to like the point where they are at now. But in my opinion, that band is like the perfect example of they and other people will be like, oh, it's because they got some like hot chick singer. It's like, fuck you. That chick rocks, sick
Yeah.
fucking vocals. The band rips. They also did it the hard way. They didn't just get onto playing for Limp Bizkit all of a sudden. They literally did all the shitty lower like punk shows. They did all the hardcore circuit. They did the whole fucking deal. And I don't know. I love that band. And I just
I
think
want to
that,
I want to add to that whole Scowl thing too. One amazing thing about that band is, um, and it's not just because they have a female singer, more feminine singer, because there's plenty of bands that do that and they still rip. But the cool thing is with Scowl is they came into kind of like the mainstream at like the perfect time, where if everyone remembers America's Got Talent, there was a smaller girl. I think she was maybe 10, maybe a little bit younger. I could be
yes,
wrong on the age. She came on and fucking played one of their songs,
that's
and
right.
it was amazing. And then when Scowl was over in the UK on tour, they, she came out to the show, and I think they brought her up on stage, and like to have that role model, whether you're male, female, or whatever, but to have that positive impact on the younger generation to make them want to do that. Because
Yes.
I think that little girl too has put out covers of other songs, not just Scowl songs and shit, but like just to see what this next generation is going to do
Oh
is
yeah.
amazing.
And like on more on them, like we just saw them. I just saw them for the first time. They came to Vancouver. They played with Military Gun. It was the same show. They fucking stole the show. Like no, like it was a sick bill. All the bands are good. Like Punitive Damage was playing all these, but like her stage presence and like just the band was like it was so good. And she is like such a showman. Like you can't like take your eyes off her. She never fucking stops moving. Leg kicks, fucking jumps. She's also just like looks sick. She's like dressed awesome, but at the same time, like she is human. And like I followed her on Twitter for a while, and like what I mean, she'd post about human shit, and she'd post how she'd feel, and like what I mean. I don't know. I have nothing but respect for that band, and you know what I mean. And like I can only imagine the bullshit that she was getting from all like the fucking elite hardcore like crowd or whatever that was like giving him, because I know there's so much fucking shit talk, and it's just like, dude, you all just talking shit because you're mad. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like just back the fuck off and let people have fun. You know what I mean? Because like honestly, Scowl is a band that just they don't seem fake to me at all. And even with their new stuff that they just put out, which is like, technically on like, they had more money to do it or whatever, it's good. Like, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? They've just gotten better. And like I'm a huge Hole fan. Like I love like old Hole. And so like I'm 100% here for her fucking singing. You know what I mean? I'm down. Like if it's in a song and it's not just her doing aggressive vocals all the time, like yeah, damn rights. And I
Yeah.
think that like I loved their first album, but like the new like EP or whatever is just like whatever they do next is going to be awesome. So yeah, they're definitely like a highlight of like the music for sure going on right now. Sorry, we're just like, hey
Yeah.
Scal, like well, come on
Yeah,
over, we love
right.
you.
Like, just add that one to the list. Like, I'll send
Yeah.
this clip, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that would be great. You know
That's
what?
some good marketing.
Also too, Michael, if you ever need a hand with like getting more bands, I can help you with this area at least. I know a lot of the people around, and I can I can I can I can wrestle
Twist some
some, yeah,
arms.
twist some arms. That's what I was going for.
Hell yeah,
Like
dude,
if
that'd
you
be
want
sick.
like yeah, like if you ever want to talk to Steph from Punitive Damage, I could probably get her on too. She's awesome.
Yeah,
She's a great guest.
hell yeah, yeah. We'll chat about it. Um, you know, like we kind of said, everyone listen to Swear Jar. You guys are putting out some sick stuff. If anyone's looking for merch, music, or just Swear Jar in general, where can they find it?
So if you're gonna all of our tags everywhere are just at swearjar 604. That's on Instagram. That's on our Bandcamp. That's on. I think it's even if you put that into Spotify, it would find us. We don't use Facebook. We don't use Twitter. We're just mainly an Instagram band. So that's the best way to get a hold of. As Michael found out, we don't check our email very often, so don't email there. If you do, just send us a message on our Instagram, because that's the best way to get a hold of me, because I'm always checking it like a psychopath. And but yeah, I'd say we don't have any new shirts. Look out, we're gonna get some new designs done soon, so keep an eye out for that. Follow us on Instagram. That's the most important thing. We're always posting. I like to let everyone know what's going on. I really appreciate anyone that goes and checks us out right now. And I really appreciate anyone that's already listened to us, to come to any of our shows, or listen to us just on Spotify. You're the best. You're the reason that we're even doing this. And also anyone that's paid for our music on Spotify, you get an A++++, because that's just listening to songs on Spotify is great. But if you're literally going onto our Bandcamp and buying music, thank you so much, because you don't even know how far that goes just to pay off the what we've accumulated just being in this band. So thank you.
Yeah, and it's a perfectly priced at $6.90 Canadian, so can't beat that.
It
Everyone,
not only 90. Obviously, you realize why we had to do it at
yeah,
90 cents, because I couldn't charge more than $1 per song, because I'm old school and that's just how it is. But yeah, and then I think the other one's for $4.20 if you want to get Swear Jar 1 is on sale for $4.20, I think.
but everyone, go get a copy if you're looking for a copy. Be ready for vinyl coming in the next few months, or at least the pre-order starting for that in the next few months.
Damn right.
Stay up to date with Swear Jar, depending on where you found this episode, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Threads. Hit those hyperlinks. Go follow them on mainly just Instagram. Just follow them on
Instagram.
Instagram, and stay up to date with all that stuff, and just be ready for 2025 is going to be. I'm a year ahead of saying this, but 2025 is going to be the year of the Swear Jar.
I think so too,
So
Michael.
I'm
I think
stoked to
so
see what
too.
it is. Yeah.
Right now, I'm going to say it right now. We're going to have the album come out, and we're going to do a states. We're going to do something at least in like the northern region states, like at least like California, and then like a northern. We're hitting you for sure. We're coming into Minnesota, but
Fuck yeah.
we're looking ahead. We're going to write some good songs on this album. Everyone's going to like them, and then we're going to have enough money to go on tour. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, you guys are gonna come down, hit the states, kind of go over, and then drive right past Toronto and tell them to fuck the
Yes.
Blue Jays, and then
Yes.
head back to Vancouver.
Yes. We'll hit Montreal, and then we're just gonna fly home. But
Hell
no, dude,
yeah.
that it would be amazing. I really want to get down. We have people bugging us. For all you people bugging us to get down to the States, I see it. Thank you. It makes me feel really good, because I want to get down there too. So thank you. And everyone that our it's funny, we don't have like the biggest fan base, but our fan base is a bit rabid. So I just thank you all for caring as much as you do, because it gives me it makes me feel really good. So thank you.
Well, everyone, go bugging them some more, and that'll do it for this episode. And I'll catch everyone on the next one. All
Hell
right,
yeah. See you
see ya.
later.
Beers with bears.